Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tiny Blue Games. My name, of course, is Seesaw or Chris, and today we're playing Overwatch. Yes, that's right. The game that's all over the internet, all over YouTube, and whenever they have an update, it's the top trending thing on Facebook, so I'm sure you've heard of it. The big difference here is that I actually just started playing it during Christmas when I got it as a gift. So I'm really a noob when it comes to this game, and that's kind of interesting for this video, as it allows me to sort of share the perspective of someone who's just jumping into Overwatch after all the changes that it has gone through, all the new maps, all the new heroes there are, and all the balances. So I'm just gonna give a few of my thoughts that I've had while playing it for the first few times, and sort of how I feel about it in terms of what I dislike or what I like about the game, and overall my first impressions. So let's get right into it. The first thing I want to talk about is the actual way the game feels and the way it plays. Now, I myself am not very used to playing a lot of shooters, and the shooters I have played in the past have been on console, where you can play this game on console, but I'm right now playing it on my PC as I've become much more of a PC gamer over the years. And I have to say, it's a lot to get used to using your mouse to actually aim at people, and especially in a shooter sort of game where you have to move around really, really quickly. Now, it's not a hard thing at all once you get used to it. It's just really getting used to how quick you have to actually see the enemy and move to it, or else you're going to be dead. Like, you just saw how quick I died there. It happens in a split second, and that's really what makes the game very exciting, but also what makes it quite challenging when you're first getting into it and getting used to how everything moves. And the game itself runs very smoothly, so once you do get used to it, there won't be any issues in terms of being able to, counterplay other shooters and actually sniping people yourself, or healing people if that's your thing, or tanking people if that's your thing. And that's another thing that I'd like to talk really about this game, is the fact that it does have a little bit more to it than just a traditional shooter, say like COD or some other game like that, where you have different classes and have a bit more MOBA aspects to it, where you can play a support role or a tank role, or some sort of there's kind of magical characters, but it's more scientific based than anything. But it offers a lot of options to you as a hero. Now, what you just saw is one of the issues I have with the game in terms of a big problem I had in the first few matches I played. And that's when I'm looking up at people or shooting at people and trying to move around because you're trying to avoid getting shot yourself, and you sort of run off the edge. And it sounds like quite a noobish thing to do, and it really is. And I'm sure as I get better at the game, it's not going to be an issue, especially once you get to know the maps more, because I guess that's really the big issue that will cause you to fall off during the first few times you play the map. But it is an issue I've run into, and it's not hard to understand why, because you're very focused on the enemy in this game, and you're very focused on keeping yourself moving so you're not just at a sitting target. And while you're doing that and looking up, you're not looking behind you or right to the side of you, and you can just really easily walk off the edge of the map in this game, which I think they've done quite intentionally to really make the map feel alive and dangerous. For instance, the very new map that they've introduced to the game, I believe is named Oasis, has cars that can hit you and stuff like that. So the map is made to challenge you in that kind of respect, and I think that's a really good thing for the game, but it's definitely another sort of barrier that's harder for new players to get past, because you have to be used to the game and used to the map before you can really, do well in it. Now, in terms of a new player joining the game, I guess I should talk about some of the things I did to really better myself. And the first thing I did is I partook in the tutorial when you first launched the game, just to sort of see all the buttons and what the objectives are and that kind of thing. And it's really good for that. It's a very quick thing you play. I believe you do it on Soldier 76, which is also a very new player friendly hero to play, just because it plays a lot more like a traditional shooter in terms of like COD or something like that. So if you are interested in that kind of first go into the game, I would recommend that hero. That's Soldier 76 again. So the tutorial was quite good for that, but there's also a few other options they offer you in terms of training. You can do what they call the training field, and there you can just use your attacks on any of the heroes against target dummies, and you can heal them. You can damage them, you can use your skills, you can use your ultimates. You really get to interact with these targets with whatever skills you want, and it's a very good thing to understand how your skills work before actually playing against real people, because you don't have the time to sort of think about that during the game, especially with it being a shooter. It's just such a quick game that you can't, consider what your skill does for the moment. You'll be dead before that moment's over. And then finally, the last thing you can do is the matches versus AI, where you get to sort of learn how to play against actual computer players, and people on your team are actual real people. So it kind of mixes the two worlds. It's very good to sort of interact with actual other players and really get that experience. However, the limitation here is that you're against computers and you guys are going to usually do really well against them. And because of that, it's kind of just a race to see who can kill the most computer players before they're all dead, and you just have to wait at the point and they'll respond slowly to you. So the one thing you don't get from this is you don't get a sense of urgency. You don't get that sort of pressure to survive yourself, which is really what the game's about once you get playing it. And that's one of the more challenging things, is dealing with pressure on yourself, but it is what makes the game very interesting in the end too. So there's a lot of things to consider. Now, once you're done sort of training and practicing with a hero and you have someone that you're sort of okay with and happy with, you can go ahead and join the quick play option, is what I've been doing. And what this does is it matches you up really quickly with players, and you just play a quick round or something like that. It's very good if you just have a little bit of time before you have to go to school or have to go out or something like that. So I've had a lot of fun with that. It's a very nice casual way to enter the game. And what it does is you'll be getting experience whenever you play this. And with that experience, it'll slowly level your account up. And once you're level 25, you can eventually actually play ranked, which is what a lot of people are interested in. They, go through the leagues. You get to make yourself better, get to play against harder enemies, and that's really kind of where the game's pushing you towards slowly. But don't be fooled, because you actually do play the quick play for quite a while, especially if you're more of a casual player like myself who just plays a game here and there. You're not going to get through the quick play and get to level 25 all that quickly if you're just, playing a couple games a day, which is good in the sense that it really allows you the time to sort of find some heroes that you're good at, really understand what all the other enemy heroes do, and how to counter them before you actually get into ranked play and start, dropping your own ranking. So it's very good that way. It might be, I guess, a negative if you're someone who wants to get right into the ranked play, or, has friends and want to go join them in the ranked play. But to be honest, it's fun just playing the game. So if you're playing it with a bunch of friends in quick play, it's going to be just as fun. Now, you should also notice that there's a few different match options that you can go through to sort of get a good feel for the actual maps themselves. I had mentioned that at the start, that one of the harder things is getting to know the map that you're in. And that's just really with any shooter. Like, there's going to be specific choke points you want to know about. There's going to be specific sniping spots you want to know about. And there's going to be very specific, places where you can fall off the map if you're so bad at the game like myself. And the way you can really do this is if you go to a custom game, you can either just roam around the maps by yourself. You can choose whatever map you want to go in, or you can put, some easy AI enemies to go against and, play like an actual game. And it's very good because there's less pressure and you can just really explore the maps and understand them. And it's something I'd definitely recommend if you're interested in playing this in any kind of competitive form, just as it is such an asset to really understand the maps. Now, the other thing we have to understand about Overwatch that makes it quite unique from a lot of the other games on the market is the fact that you can change your hero during the game. And originally, this is something that kind of turned me off, just because it is a change compared to how a lot of gaming companies do play these games. And because of that, I was against it at the start, just how you are when anything changes and you're like, that's not how I've done it for years. But it's a really smart thing because it allows teams that have just selected a poor composition against the enemy to change that halfway during the game when they see, hey, we've been, team killed a few times here. We have to do something different or else we're just going to lose this game. So it does allow you that option. But with that in mind, I think one of my biggest issues, and especially being a new person to the game, I haven't really, taken a good advantage of that because I've just sort of stuck on the player I'm playing on. and maybe not when I should have. Maybe I should have switched characters, should have switched to a support when we didn't have one, or to a tank when we didn't have one. And it's just something that you have to actively have in the back of your mind there. Just, hey, I do have this option, and is it a good time for me to do that? So what I mean, is it a good time? Now, you can see that there's a percentage bar sort of in the bottom center of your screen, and that's your ultimate when it's charging. And whatever you do in the game, and just I think in general, it'll slowly tick up itself. But the more you actually do something good for your team, or actually on point, you'll get the percentage a lot quicker. Will charge up your ultimate skill on whoever you're on. Now, it's important to notice, and I believe this to be true as I've tried it myself, that when you do switch to a different hero, this percentage bar will go back to 0. And this is kind of to avoid people, charging an ultimate on one hero and then switching to someone with a really powerful ultimate to use it right away, which is, not obviously intended at all. So it's good in that sense. But it's just something to be aware of, because you don't want to accidentally switch to a different hero when you had an ultimate ready. You may as well go in on the hero you're on and use that ultimate if it's going to help you in any way. And most of the ultimates are powerful enough to really shift a battle, so it's kind of a waste if you give that up. So who do I recommend playing on, or who have I been playing on? Well, there's a few different classes that I've tried. Like the very first class I tried was Soldier 76, because I did hear that was a really good, easy first class to play on. And it was. The limitation there is that it's not a wildly interesting class. It's our hero, as it's similar to a lot of, Call of Duties or just traditional shooters. But who I've been playing on more is Junkrat, who's a really good defensive hero who can sort of stay at range and do a lot of damage and pressure for the team without necessarily being as involved, and I've quite enjoyed that. So I would recommend trying him if you've ever, wanted to try someone who's got such long range and a really good defensive ability. And then obviously just branching out into tanks and healers, and not being afraid to try them if your team needs that, because it's more important to have a good starting composition and having someone in each role than it is to sort of, stack on people that you just want to play. So that's really been my first few impressions of the game. I've enjoyed a lot, and I hope to make more content and keep playing it, even if it's at a casual level and slowly getting towards rank. But I've enjoyed it. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this, and let me know what you think of the game so far, if you're a veteran or a new player yourselves. I want to hear how you guys have been enjoying it. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.